Hello and thank you for joining me again. Today I'm bringing a video from a tournament we held a couple months ago, Kyber Combat's intramural tournament. It was a pretty eventful tournament with a lot of new faces showing up to participate within it. Alicia, Kat, Laura, Brendan, and Rich were all new to our tournament, and amongst that group was also Tony Zaldua. Tony Zaldua is actually a Lightspeed fighter who flew all the way from California to come visit us and participate within our tournament. I picked up Tony at the airport a day and a half prior to the tournament. We had a little bit of a problem when I first picked him up because I had such a small car and he had so much luggage. He's a saber technician, so he had to carry around with him his fighting equipment, his clothing, and his saber stuff. So we had a pretty interesting time trying to get that in there. We went ahead and met up with George to go get some amazing rotating sushi, and then along with that we stopped at a bakery. After the bakery, we decided the best way to introduce Tony to Texas was taking him and showing him the Texas way of Kyber Combat.
I got all choked up and I threw down my gun, called him a paw and he called me a son, and I come away with the
It was the day after Tony arrived. I had the idea that sounded good at the time, which was riding around the city with him in this ride called Critical Mass. It's at the last Friday of every month. So I knew it was an opportunity that I didn't want him to miss. The only problem is my friends decided to ride from my house all the way into the city, take that ride, and then ride all the way back from downtown, all the way back to my house. So it was quite a long ride. I'd say around 50 miles we rode that day, which is quite a lot being on a bike, including the fact that the tournament was the next day. So once again, Tony, I'm really sorry about that. It wasn't the best idea. Had a blast though, made a lot of great memories, and you're the best. So the day of the tournament arrived, and I gotta say, everyone was probably a bit nervous, including myself.
Oh my god.
I'm still not the best at controlling my emotions when it comes to tournament day, and I know a lot of members have the same issue. There's just so much excitement and not knowing what's gonna happen, the unknown. But the best advice I can give you for that kind of moment is just do it. Just go in there and fight. I mean, like, at that point, you're already there, you're already gonna have to fight. Might as well not think about it. You've already trained enough up until that point, so might as well go in there and just give it your best. So we decided to split up the pools into 3 different ways. And the way we decided to split up the pools was a little bit interesting. We tried going with a different strategy than last time. We wanted to go more off of the ranking system we've put in place. So we put fighters in within the ranks, and the fact that I had won the previous tournament put me on the hardest rank, including with Tony Zaldua. So after that 50-mile ride or so, Tony Zaldua and I got put against the hardest people amongst the tournament. So going to the tournament, I was placed against Russ. We also invited a fencing instructor from Dallas to come into the tournament. Tony Zaldua was within my pool, and along with that, Kyle, which is probably one of my biggest rivals within the group as far as fighting each other goes, got placed in my pools as well. To top it off, Kyle and I got put in to start off the tournament for everyone. So he's probably one of the person that knows me best as a fighter. And every time we go at it, I gotta say, I blow a lot of energy with him. So I was a bit nervous going into it. I didn't have a chance to warm up, but I knew he felt the same way. That first fight, it was fun. There was a lot of cool moves that came out of it, but I ended up losing. Kyle took the win. It was back and forth for a certain time period, but in the end, Kyle came out of it the better fighter. After losing against Kyle, although it is Kyle, I was a little bit demoralized, you know, coming into the tournament, my first fight going down, but I wasn't gonna let that get to me. I wanted to stay positive about it, and I wanted to just push forward through it. One loss didn't mean I was out of the race, and I really wanted to make it to the quarterfinals. So I pushed hard. I ended up fighting against Russ. And I gotta say, I was really nervous about Russ, but he might have been just as nervous as I was. I ended up coming out on top of that fight. The fencing instructor from Dallas at the same time gave me a hard time, but I ended up overcoming that as well. And then Tony, oh man, the fight between Tony and I, his fighting style against my fighting style made for amazing entertainment. I had a blast doing that. I gotta say, the fight between Kyle and Tony were my 2 best fights out of that day. And win or lose either one, which I did win one and lost another, it was amazing. I had a blast. That fight with Tony was great. I remember pulling my secret move on him, which is my reverse Tinkerbell. Which is a move that Kyle came up with, and I do it with a switch hand Tinkerbell. I ended up pulling that on Tony, and Tony ended up pulling some crazy tricks on me. But I ended up taking the win from that. Tony, I had a blast with that fight. Once we all made it out of our pools, we shuffled up the names and to see who would be put against who. I ended up going up against Laura. Laura had come out of her pool swinging. She has a background in HEMA. I clearly remember when I was judging their fights, just the way she got them in the head afterwards, or evaded strikes and hit him in the head and immediately afterwards, she was knocking heads out. I gave him best, and I know Laura did as well. I ended up coming out on top of that one. and I moved forward towards Kyle. I came into that one, we were both warmed up. He'd been in a winning streak like crazy. I had just come out of winning nonstop since I lost against him. So we were both confident, we were both at our peak point of the tournament, and I gotta say, that fight was amazing. He pulled a lot of crazy moves on me. And then at one point I remember doing the reverse Tinkerbell on him, which he came up with the Tinkerbell, hitting him right in the head. I baited him in, backed up a few times, and then just smacked him on the top of his head. That was a pretty great clip. That was probably one of the highlights of that night. But ultimately, Kyle bested me. The fight was amazing. We were back and forth for such a long time, and although that fight knocked me out of the tournament, I gotta say, that fight left me smiling. That was such an amazing fight between Kyle and I. That's probably one of the most memorable fights I've ever had with him. I'll always look back to it. Afterwards, George went and moved up against Zach, who he had previously fought earlier in his pools. Zach ended up taking that win. The two fighters had a very intense fight. Zach did end up taking the victory in that. So the two fighters that moved forward out of everyone was Kyle and Zach. It was a very powerful final fight. There was a lot of fast movement. You can feel the energy in the room. It was very palpable. It was a very enjoyable last fight to see. Kyle ended up coming out the victor. He actually ended up winning the lightsaber, which he gave away in a cool turn of events. So awesome to you, Kyle. You're giving away that lightsaber to them. They had an intense fight, Laura and Preston over it. Greg, which is the owner of Black Lotus Sabers, came out to our tournament, brought his crazy stand with his wiring and soldering tools. There was a lot of lightsaber malfunctions that he fixed on the spot. I recommend checking him out. He's an amazing sabersmith who did very quick work and very great work for all our members during the tournament. I just remember him patching up so many people's lightsabers. It was ridiculous, and I don't think a lot of people would have been able to continue the tournament without him. So shout out to you, Greg and Black Lotus Sabers. Thank you for sponsoring our tournament. Along with that, Ripper Blades sent us over 3 lightsabers, 2 which we used for the tournament and 1 which we did in a second tournament. One of the most moving things of that night was seeing Kyle win that tournament. He's worked so hard for this, and just seeing the guy put in so much effort through all the tournament, he deserved it so much.
The tournament was the Vegas tournament. I didn't even advance into the qualifiers. It's in essence like surreal, like finally knowing where I started and not even making it to the next round. The prize was never an option. It was never a thought. And we gave the prizes away to all of our loving, awesome members. So there was literally nothing for me to lose. It was just do my best, work hard, and try to prove myself, prove that everything I've trained for was worth it.
Seeing him fight through all of that, maintain such a positive energy, a positive influence towards everyone, and coming out of that tournament winning, giving away a prize. I just want to say thank you, Kyle, for being a part of Kyber Combat. Him winning that tournament was well deserved. It's always a pleasure fighting along with you guys, along with everyone else, all the new faces that showed themselves this year. I want to give you all a huge thanks for coming out. It was a blast, and Tony's, I'll do it for you flying all the way from California. Really appreciate that, man. So we hope to see you again, Tony, and thank you guys for making this possible once again. And I also want to thank all of you. Recently on my lightsaber announcement video for the Kyber Combat lightsabers that are being made, there was a lot of positive feedback. Thank you all for watching this. Thank you for the support. And to all the people who are talking on the comments saying that they want to start their own base in their own country, they don't have anyone, I really do encourage you, just grab your friends, order a few lightsabers. It doesn't have to be many, just 2 sets of gloves, 2 sets of helmets, 2 lightsabers. Go out there and fight. Eventually you'll be able to get to the point where you have your own tournaments. And I can't tell you how amazing that feeling is.
Kyber